At least 22 people along the East Coast have died as a result of Hurricane Irene. The storm left damage from the Bahamas to Vermont. President Obama declared a state of emergency. The governor of Vermont says the state may be suffering its worst flooding since 1927.
It all started with the flood when Irene came through, and I got that call at 9:30 at night that they were evacuating the street behind the pub. I went in and it was just unbelievable. I mean, I opened my basement door and there was just brown, muddy water. it was dark, muddy water, just smooth. It looked like my floor continued like out into the stairwell. And I just shut the door and walked over to the bar and poured an IPA and stood there, and I got about halfway through it and I could hear the tanks boom, boom, like bumping up against the ceiling underneath me.
So when Mitch gave me the call, you know, I had heard about the Alchemist, and you know, it's a tragedy type situation to happen, you know, obviously, and it's nobody wants the whole act of God sort of scenario to roll down and happen to them, but these things can happen. So it definitely chimes my hearts to think about making a beer that I get to make, you know, with old friends and new friends, and we get to drink it together, and anybody else that joins is helping to rebuild a brewery, and that's like what this entire industry is about.
The Alchemist Ninkasi Stone, more brown than black IPA. So it's not quite a black IPA. We had knocked back the Carafa malt, the dark malt, just a little bit. So it's coming off a very deep brown. This collaboration came together primarily because of Hurricane Irene and the damage it did to John's brewery in Vermont. I reached out to John. I had gotten to know John in the past couple of years, and Jamie Floyd at Ninkasi, he'd been on our short list of people we wanted to do collaborations with for a while.
The proceeds that are going to benefit Vermont are going to the Waterbury Good Neighbor Fund, and it gets back to that local mentality of these were our customers.
Malts that we're using in this beer are Maris Otter malt from England is the base malt. We're using light Munich malt, Cara-helles, and Carafa 3. The hops we're using in this beer are Super Galena, Nelson Sauvin, Delta, Galaxy, and Citra. I'm looking forward to this one a lot. I love brewing IPAs, and especially using new hop varieties. I think for me, that's what I like to do.
This is a major success beer here. I think this came out just like we liked it to, and we're hoping it would come out. And I think the hop character is really cool on it. You know, it's just intense on the citrus and the pine. Galaxy is to me is very stone fruit in the flavors. So peach, apricot, those kind of flavors. The malt's very light on it. You might get a little hint of chocolate at the back end, but it's very light on the rose character. And then on the back end, it's just very bitter. Finish is very bitter, very drying, which I think is not a bad thing. That's a good thing, you know, because if the beer finishes a little bit dry, it kind of makes you thirsty. It makes you want to drink it again, you know.
To see a company as strong as Stone, with as much as they're doing in the world of beer, but still keeping that hand in good deeds, like that is that's everything, really. It's like I wish there was more of that in the world.